submit this assignment. The instructions are in X-Learning. You can have a look if you want, but we can also go them through after the guest lectures. So let's give Milla the opportunity to start at 9. So it's 9 o'clock. We can start. So the ones who just came, welcome and good morning. You can now register to this class. And then remember to take notes because you will have the learning report assignment after this, directly after the lectures today. So we will have 2 lectures, Milla and Krista, and you will write about both of them. So at least 10 to 20 key points, learnings that was interesting to you, and then you can compare it with your friend and you will choose the most relevant ones in the end. But we can go through the assignment also after the guest lectures, so I will explain you once more. But just so you know already now that take some notes, that's the most important for now. And by the way, questions, we will take questions in the end today, because we have quite tight schedule for the guest lectures, so I hope that you will give peace for our guest lecturers, that they can talk, and then in the end you can ask questions if you have any. Yes.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No?
Can you speak up?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Right, good morning everyone. My name is Milla Östila and I work as a tourism specialist in the governing body of Suomalinna. How many of you have visited Suomalinna? All right, wow. How many of you have visited Suomalinna during the winter? Not so many hands up, all right. It's not the situation at the moment in Suomalinna, but hopefully in a few days it will be like that. So my background is in cultural geography. I studied that in the University of Helsinki, and back in the days there was also the network university for tourism studies in Finland when I was studying, and I studied tourism there as well. I'm also a vocational teacher, and I have get some lectures in Arcada, University of Applied Sciences. And what do I do in Suomalinna? I have been working there over 15 years now. I actually went there as a student, believe me or not. I was doing my thesis, and I was asked in this project that could you come to Suomalinna and join in this project. And here I'm 15 years later in the same place. Well, I was 1 year in the city of Helsinki and also another employee in Suomalinna, but I have worked for the governing body for over 15 years. And my main tasks in Suomalinna is to develop Suomalinna as a sustainable tourism destination, also visitor management issues. So whenever you are visiting Suomalinna, we have done some things that we somehow hope that you don't even see or feel when you are moving around Suomalinna. So we can develop Suomalinna as a sustainable destination. For example, there is 800 people who lives there and 1 million visitors, so we need to think about how visitors move around Suomalinna. And also stakeholder cooperation is one of my many tasks in the governing body of Suomalinna, and therefore I'm here as well. So this is one of my privileges that I get to meet future tourism specialists in different University of Applied Sciences, and I must say that you have chosen a very good career for yourselves. I like to start. Let's see. I would always like to start with a little bit of UNESCO World Heritage Site information before we go deeply into Suomalinna, because quite many people know the brand UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but they don't know that much about the convention. For example, why this was established in 73. Actually, it was after the Second World War when people saw the destruction of cultural heritage, for example, and then nations together decided that that could be a good answer, that we created this kind of a convention together, that we list that kind of places which are really important for mankind all over the world. You don't see anything, but I see the screen is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe then on the table.
Okay. So the convention, they signed it in 73, and now some years back there is 1,199 World Heritage Sites over the world. And as you can see, the yellow dots, they are culturally important sites, and the green ones are natural sites. So there is a domination of cultural sites in this list at the moment. And then there is also a mixed sites where the outstanding universal value of the site is of cultural and natural as well. Also transboundary, so that kind of sites which are in the different nations. For example, in Finland we have two these kind of sites. One is the Struve-Tjärvedi part, which actually goes from the Black Sea to the northern tip of Norway, and it's in the 12 different countries. And as I'm a geographer, this kind of a map is also a good possibility to check what's going on in the world. What do you think? You see 56 red dots in the map. And if you think about the situation that UNESCO World Heritage Sites are that kind of sites that we should safeguard for future generations. And those red dots, they are somehow in danger, so in danger that we cannot safeguard them to the future generations. And if you look at the maps, can you guess, just show what kind of dangers in these kind of places which are marked in a red dot?
Natural reserve?
Yes. Any other questions?
War.
War. Good. Any other? Sorry?
Natural disasters?
Natural disasters. It doesn't like me this morning. Yeah, those were all correct. And then there is one thing which is developing of the cities, and that's actually one of the most things that threatens UNESCO World Heritage Sites today. For example, you can see nowadays when nations want to have their own sites to the UNESCO World Heritage list, it's really political. It's all about lobbying. Nations think that it's a way to get euros or dollars to your own countries, and it's a very known brand for tourism industry as well. So it's a good idea to try to get the sites for your own country. But then there is these three. Some countries also have decided that, for example, the developing of the cities is more important than to keep the UNESCO World Heritage status. The last one, the sites which were delisted from the site, the list from 2 years ago, it was Liverpool Maritime, old maritime city. And is there someone who wants this Premier League. So they built a new the football stadium just right into World Heritage site. I don't remember, it wasn't the Liverpool, there's another team in the Liverpool as well. Do you remember what was the no? Well, I have a 10-year-old at home, and he plays football, and I'm sure that when I tell him today that I forgot the name of the team, he will somehow punish me. But so there is also a possibility to lose the UNESCO World Heritage listing. How many sites do we have in Finland? Has someone visited some other site that beside Suomenlinna? Some brave guesses? No? So here are the Finnish sites. So there's 7 altogether. There is, as you saw from the map, also in Finland we have 6 cultural sites and only 1 natural site. So the Kvarken archipelago, which was listed the latest, is only natural site in Finland. So 7 altogether. And maybe next time you are going to your summer cottage or traveling around Finland, you can select one of the World Heritage sites on your bucket list in Finland as well. And what about Suomalinna then? Why Suomalinna was listed? Suomalinna and Old Rauma were the first sites to be listed in Finland in 1991. Suomenlinna's outstanding universal value, OUV as we call it in UNESCO slang, it's all about that being a unique monument of military architecture, and also the point that it has served in the defense of the 3 different realms. So of course first Sweden, as Suomenlinna was founded in 1748, then about 100 years for Russia, and finally, of course, to Finland. And while they were making the decisions in UNESCO headquarters, they didn't write it on our criteria listing, but they thought that it was a really remarkable thing that Suomenlinna has, or it continues to be a living and tended inhabited part of the city of Helsinki, as it has been over the years. So when Swedes started to build the fortress, it has been a garrison town all the way through. So it hasn't changed for a museum island with closest doors after 5 o'clock or closest doors during the winter months. So it's still a place where people do live, they work, and of course they visit. So it's something that this living and inhabited district of Helsinki, they thought that it is important. Since not so many of you raised hands when I asked, have you visited Suomenlinna during the winter, I have a short video about the work that we do in the governing body of Suomenlinna. There you can see how you actually need a lot of different specialists to take care of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Unfortunately, there is no sound. It's a bling music only. There is, you can see. Maybe not. The other video started, but this one doesn't. can send you a link, maybe. You watch it. It's on a YouTube. It presents a little bit the work that we do at the governing body of Suomalinna, but I can tell you that there's 8 people working throughout the year in Suomalinna, and usually people ask me, 80? Really? That many? And of course, I have 6 closest colleagues who work for the tourism strictly somehow. But there is carpenters, plumbers, architects, gardeners, caretakers, and so forth. So there is a lot of different specialists and occupations taking care of the fortress. And of course, the governing body, we operate under the Ministry of Education and Culture. And our tasks, we do restore the fortress. We tend to say that Suomalinna is one of the it's the biggest restoration site of Finland, so there's always a restoration work going on in the fortress. And we are also landlords. There's 800 people living in the fortress, and many of them are in apartments that are rented out from the governing body of Suomalinna. And actually, there is ongoing, there's just this week, they are in the internet, you can check, there is rental apartments to let in Suomalinna, and that doesn't happen that often. So my colleagues who are working with the care in that section, they have a lot of phone calls and emails and applications for the free apartments in Suomalinna at the moment. So I pretty much said some of these things, but Suomalinna is about 80 hectares, and I always like to tell a little bit or put different kind of classes on, because normally if you think Suomalinna as a tourism destination or visitor attraction, you don't think about what there is sort of behind the scenes, what other things there is. I already mentioned that there is 800 residents. It's a smallest district of Helsinki, about 350 apartments which are let, and about 200 buildings. And then you can, as I said, that it's the biggest restoration site in Finland, and restoration work is ongoing thing. You can just imagine, and for example, 6 kilometers of defensive walls. I think that Mr. Eresvärd, who designed the fortress in 1748, I don't know if he ever thought that fortress would be still standing after almost 300 years later. And if you think about, for example, the climate change, there's a lot of struggle also to the cultural heritage. For example, our defensive walls, because there's a lot of different kind of rain, and then there's the winters. We don't have that much ongoing minus degrees, but it's plus and minus. So the fortress walls are really much cracking, and therefore, whenever there's one restoration wall repair ready, they will know a list where they change the place next. And it's also a micro working place, Suomalinna. About 500 people works there, a bit less during the winter months, but more in summer months. All the restaurants and also our agency at a lot of summer seasonal workers. And this is more to your course idea. So more or less before the COVID-19, we got about 1 million visitors per year. And of course, we being a governmental agency, we don't provide the tourism service products. So there is a plus minus 30 different kind of tourism service providers in the islands. Some are bigger. There's, for example, Restel and Ravintola Kolmio, the bigger sort of chains. But apart from that, there are micro entrepreneurs who work working island and have their businesses there. And I have listed there that there's 6 different museums. Only 2 of them are open during the whole year, but in the summer months there's much more to see. Even one hostel, then there's one apartment which is let through the Airbnb, so you can also stay overnight in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And then about 15 cafes and restaurants. And I mentioned there that we have had about 1 million visitors before COVID-19, and I have here listed the figure how our visitor numbers have grown over the years. And the year 1997 is there just because that was the year when we started with the HSL, the public ferry company, the certain calculation of our visitors, so it's steady from there. But then you can see that there has been also quite a steady growth, of course, at the dip. And then you can see that after the 2 COVID-19 years, we are not in the about 1 million visitors, but I think that there's 2 months lacking from this year's number, so it will be somewhere around 900,000, I would say. But our curve wouldn't be like that if there wouldn't be the city of Helsinki and how visitors have found it, the Helsinki as a city break destinations over the last years. So as you think, Suomalinna is in quite many places listed the must-see site when you are visiting the Helsinki, so it also shows in our figures here. So you are never sort of alone being a tourism attraction or destination. You are always a part of something bigger, and we are part of our Helsinki city as a visitor or tourism destination. And when people from abroad come to visit Helsinki, they quite often choose to visit Suomalinna as well, and therefore we are quite lucky in that sense. Or our entrepreneurs as well, they are lucky, so they have some customers. And here, since you have a tourism basic course, this is a good example how the destination or attraction visitors divide over the years. If this would be in Lapland, the curve would be like this. But this is a typical sort of a summer destinations or attractions curve when you think about the whole year of different months. And as I said, that Suomalinna is quite often on the bucket list for those who come to visit Helsinki. This is something that has shown also these sort of shoulder months or months which are off-season, and before COVID-19 we were a little lucky, but we were a little bit because one of our goals is to have more even visitor flows in Suomalinna. So not only the summer, but also the shoulder season and winter. And as people travel to Helsinki, they visit Suomalinna and come to Suomalinna, but when the COVID-19 showed us that foreigners have found Suomalinna during the winter months, but the locals, like us who live in Helsinki or greater Helsinki area, we are the ones who want to go to Suomalinna only when it's July or June, it's sun is shining, it's about 12 o'clock till 4 o'clock. So it's our we realize that we need to more and more have a different kind of communications to local people that yes, Suomalinna is there. Also to in other months than in July, and the ferry runs through the year, and most of the services also are open. So, yeah.
Also, Pokemon Go affected going rate to Suomalinna quite a lot, especially in 2017.
Yes, that's true. Yes, unfortunately, I would have the year 16 here. So then you have would have seen better the effect of Pokemon Go. But that's one of the nice things to show with the statistics when you show that something happens overnight that visitor game. And here I have listed some pull factors, what our visitors have said in our visitor survey. We do every 4th year the big survey where we interview about 1,500 visitors throughout the year, and actually this year is the visitor survey year, so in January we will have a lot of new information about our visitors. But they list that history and sites, then nature and sea, and quite many of them have written also that if you can combine this history and sites together with nature and sea, it's also a really big pull factor for visitor attraction. Then also the ferry trip to the fortress. This is something that my colleagues who work in our visitor center, and they take care of our social media channels and also like Google and TripAdvisor, they tell that we tend to get really good recommendations in both of the places, but sometimes, you know, not I mean, not every time everything is like going smoothly. And my colleagues tell that there is a quite nice recommendation when someone tells that, yeah, for example, this one case was that I was with my husband and he was really into this war things, and because there's war museums and of course the whole military island and so forth. So my husband was so much really into that topic, and it was really boring for me. But one thing I remember, a ferry trip to the fortress and back to the city, beautiful silhouette of city of Helsinki, and I got to take best selfies ever from the ferry. But I didn't enjoy the visit to Suomalinna because my husband was really into this war museum stuff. But it tells that different people have different things that they like, and it's good for us that ferry trip can save the visit, even though it wasn't that good at the moment. And of course, the UNESCO World Heritage status, we have a lot of visitors who come just for that, and mainly people from Asia, Japan. For example, there's a lot of enthusiastic visitors who want to check UNESCO World Heritage sites, and they are collecting them. And if you think about more local people, the banquet, meeting, and also event facilities, which are in a historical setting or atmosphere, this is something that our visitors have said that it's important for them. I spotted out here one of the services that us in the governing body we do. This is sort of one of the only ones that we do, but we get to meet our visitors in the Suomalinna Visitor Center, which is open almost all around here every day. And we have there a short introduction exhibition, and our staff and my colleague Eva, they're in a blue sweater, introducing Suomalinna to visitors. And this is something, it's quite current picture that I actually took from Eva and some visitors. We formerly worked behind the desk, and of course after the COVID there was this, what it's called, you had them hanging everywhere to in between the visitors and the clerks. but we changed the idea this year all the way around. So my colleagues, they don't sit behind the desk anymore. They stand there with the visitors, and we have also a big this aerial picture of fortress where you can easily show around what kind of place the Suomalinna is, because for foreign visitors to come to Suomalinna, the most asked question, what would be the most asked question when people come to Suomalinna? Any ideas? When they came with the ferry and then they meet some of our staff. When's the last ferry? It's 2 a.m. So no worries, but this is, I don't know, have you studied the Maslow's hierarchy where people need to feel safe? And of course, when you come to ferry and you think that maybe I stay here overnight, when's the next ferry? So whenever they tell that, oh, no worries, there is a ferry going back and forth, and last one is 2 o'clock in the morning, so they feel relaxed. Okay, I can breathe, and now I'm open. So now I'm here, and what should I see? Where am I? So quite many of the visitors, they don't know where they have come, and they need some tips and helps from our staff in visitor center, what to see, where to eat, where to have coffee, and so forth. So we tried this big aerial photo wall thing, and we have had a really good feedback from our customers that it's really nice to see what kind of place I have landed and where to walk. And my colleague Eva, who's here in the picture, has said that even this winter months when it's not that busy, it's nice to see that same visitors come back when they are waiting for ferry, and then they go and check from the aerial photo that I visited there, and then when we are here, we went there. So it's a really good feedback that we have got from the visitors, and it's always good to speak with them and not just deliver the maps or just say that the last ferry is 2 o'clock in the morning. So there's a good interaction with our visitors. I mentioned that there is about 30 plus minus tourism entrepreneurs or tourism service providers in Suomalinna, and our work in the governing body of Suomalinna is to be some kind of the one who's gathering all them together, because when we are developing the Suomalinna as an attraction, we need everyone. We in the governmental agency, we cannot do it alone. But for example, if you think one coffee shop owner, she or he, they cannot do it them alone. So we need to do it together. And we have twice a year these tourism mornings where we gather up. This is from last autumn, I think, but we had our tourism morning just last week in Suomalinna, and we have some current topics, how the summer season was there something that we could develop together, is there some ideas for the next summer seasons, and what about the winter season, any ideas how people are going to keep their businesses open during the, for example, Christmas season, holiday season, to ensure that every visitor would have a hot cup of coffee when they visit the fortress. And of course, there's some current topics as well. So there we get to meet each other, and this is quite nice things whenever whenever it comes back. There's also extranet, so we have this all internet pages where you need your passports and everything. And whenever I release that, tourism morning is going to be then and then, and please come and so forth. I don't even have to put an agenda, because all the entrepreneurs know that this is the place to be. They can meet us, but they can also meet each each other and ask questions and meet, because the normal life of an entrepreneur is that you are really busy in your own place and you don't know how the others are, but it's really important to also know how the other businesses are going and if they had some new ideas and so forth. So it's really nice that we have these kind of things. And also we have a different kind of trainings together. For example, now entrepreneurs ask that there is a possibility to have a Google Ads training. This is going to be in a couple of weeks. Then we have meetings for Suomalinna guides. There's a guide authorization system in Suomalinna because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and ERES a society who's been in the fortress for about 100 years, and they have they are responsible for example, packaging the different part of visitor attractions, guided tours, museums, water buses, so the customers can buy the Suomalinna experience from one place, and they don't need to have a different reservations and so forth. So together with them, we are having a meetings with the Suomalinna guides, and for example, in a couple of weeks, we have a privilege to go with the guides with one of our architects. We get to see, because one of the big block of flats, it sounds really odd when you think about Suomalinna, but yes, block of flats, it's have overgone a really big renovation project, and before the new residents move in, we have possibility to have this guide meeting or training, and we can go and see the residents' homes, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks, and we are a little bit struggling that because all of the guides want to come this kind of opportunity, and we of course cannot take everyone, but it seems that it's something that we need to do all over again, so everyone can come together. But that's also a really important thing, that we meet the authorized guides, because they meet the visitors, and visitors do have a lot of questions, and I think that it's a really good thing that in this world which is going different kind of online guides and digitalization is taking part, you can also have this possibility to have a guide, to have a person where you can interact, you can ask questions, you can wonder something, and then there's these special persons who know quite much about the place. So of course we need to train them that they know, because they tell me that whenever they are walking with a group, they ask like, oh, there's a construction site, what's going on there? And that it's something going on here. And of course they are interested in the history of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it also interests what kind of a construction site is going on, how many pupils are there in the local school, and what about the open prison, how it's going on, and how many prisoners are there, and so forth. So they need also really much current information that they can give to the visitors as well. Right. And as we do things together with the entrepreneurs in the fortress, we try to listen to our visitors, as I felt about my colleague Eva and this new thing that we have tried in the visitor center. Of course, face-to-face contact that Eva and her team has in the visitor center, but also different kind of visitor comments and recommendations in, for example, TripAdvisor, Google, and so forth. I just listed, I went to see last night how many recommendations Suomalinna had for this year, and it was over 6,000 at the moment. And there is a certain index, the TESS Traveler Experience Score, which is a combination of the numerical data that you, for example, keep in Google stars or TripAdvisor, the same thing. But there's also this sentimental So there's AI which is going through all the written comments that they are giving in, for example, in TripAdvisor and Google, and if there's some positive feedback, for example, the ferry trip was amazing, and it will give us those sentiment numbers. So if you calculate them together, there's this new kind of a traveler experience score where 1 is worst and 10 is the best. So I think that 9.2 is quite good. And of course, colleagues in the visitor center, they are mostly taking care of giving the comments to recommendations in TripAdvisor and Google, and also a lot of work in social media channels as well, the comments, reposts, and so forth. So my colleague Eva just said that the work in the visitor center has changed quite much over the last 5 years. So before that, it was interacting with the visitors who came to Suomalinna. Now it's also, that is also important, but now you have to be in different social media channels and these kind of other channels as TripAdvisor, Google, and so forth. And as I mentioned, there is about 800 local residents in Suomalinna, and as we are developing Suomalinna as a sustainable tourism destination, it's really important to hear what the residents have say as well. And actually, I think that the situation in Suomalinna is quite good. The governing body of Suomalinna has a board, and one of the board members is the local residents. So they have a sort of an election. They're all local residents. They have an election in every 4th year, and they choose one of the residents to be part of the governing body board. So, and apart from that, we have this forum where we meet the board member, the resident board member, and of course there is some different kind of associations. So there is also association for local residents as well. So we meet them every 4 times a year and try to discuss all the current topics, and of course if they have some concerns. For example, we the water bus company changed a year ago. That was there was a lot of questions from residents because of course it's a different company, it uses a little bit different kind of routines. It's not the same that you have used to last 20 years. So that was a lot of big debate with the residents, for example. And what other? And for example, they in surveys and in meetings they told us some years ago that it's one of the big struggles to live in that kind of a place where which has 1 million visitors, and you have a ferry, and sometimes you need to hurry up for the dentist, or maybe you have to pick up your kid from from hobby or trainings or something like that, or of course people tend to go back and forth with their work. So when there was a possibility, when we restored the ferry terminals both in Suomenlinna and in Market Square with City of Helsinki, so it was a great thing that we could ensure for the residents and workers as well the different gates. So now if you are living in Suomenlinna or working, you get your own tag, and when summer times there is queues. So there are. So then you have a different gates where you can sort of go first. When the ferry comes, they take residents and workers first, and they say that it's a really good thing for them, and that this kind of a place. That was one example. Then I have just a few words about sustainable tourism. You already saw the figures. So in the early 90s, there was only 600,000 visitors, and just before COVID, 1 million visitors. And so in the last 20 years, the annual numbers, they have grown a lot. And first, in the early 90s, they were just local day trippers, having a nice day out with friends or relatives. And now the two-thirds are international visitors. And as I mentioned, Suomalinna is one of the most visited attractions in the whole country. And of course, this growing success, it challenged us together with all our entrepreneurs. So how we preserve this UNESCO World Heritage Site, this is our duty as well, and how we secure the social, sustainable everyday life for our residents in Suomenlinna, and of course, at the same time, we need to provide high quality visitor experience for the visitors as well. So in 2010 or so, we started to think about the sustainable tourism is the way we need to pretty much think in that way. And it was year 2015, we did, together with our local entrepreneurs and other stakeholders, a sustainable tourism strategy, where we like to emphasize that tourism and conservation, they need to go hand in hand. So you cannot just develop Suomenlinna as a tourism destination and think about the tourism, because it's also the place that we need to safeguard for the future generations. But on the other hand, we just can't think about the conservation and safeguarding, because one of the things that you are listed in the UNESCO World Heritage Site list is that you need to tell about the place and its values to the visitors. So it's important as well. And of course, we wanted that our entrepreneurs, they see themselves in the vision as well, that they would, their businesses would be successful year-round, and they would have these high-quality services, and as I mentioned, residents and visitors. And whenever you will study about strategic planning, and if someone says that vision, it should be really short and memorable. This is not one of those, but back in the days, we did a lot of work with different stakeholders, and we wanted that everyone could see themselves in this. And I quickly show that which are our focus areas. So we, on the, what's that? My left, your left. The managing the impacts of tourism and taking advantage of its benefits. It almost could be what's the new sustainable tourism. I'm looking at you guys. Regenerative tourism. That's one of the trend words at the moment. Of course, maintaining a high quality visitor experience, and this is really important because I told you earlier that we have about 30 different entrepreneurs in the island. So this is something that we really need to focus on, because you are, as there's a saying, you are as strong as the weakest link, or at least we have in Finnish this saying. So therefore, it's really, really important to work together in this high quality visitor experience. And I mentioned earlier about emphasizing the image of a year-round destinations. We were a little bit doing like this before COVID. We have done so good work, but then when the COVID came and we saw that all the international visitors were lacking, and then we realized that we have a lot of work to do with the local visitors to emphasize this year-round image of Suomenlinna. And I mentioned or emphasized so many times that you need to think do all things together. You cannot do things alone. So therefore, developing these network activities. And as we are World Heritage Sites, this is our duty. We need to communicate the World Heritage values to our visitors. We need to help our entrepreneurs to communicate these values to their customers as well. And this is something that we really have some to-do lists still left. I'll show you this one because usually when I talk about sustainable tourism in Suomalinna, then someone asks me, oh, what about those 4 different aspects of sustainability? Your strategy didn't list those, and therefore I have this additional slide with me wherever I go, and it's a good way to show that how different sides of sustainability can be seen in Suomenlinna. So if you think about the cultural sustainability, the key thing is actually that there is a new use that respects those historical values for a site that has lost its original function. So the defense fortress, which is no longer needed for defense, and we have gained new use for different buildings. And this is I have learned from my colleagues, which are architects. They say that the best way to keep up the building is to use them. So whenever we have a new use for different kind of fortification parts, we can safeguard them. Then environmental sustainability, I mentioned earlier about the visitor management, how it's important that we guide our visitors where they can and cannot move around. For example, it has a lot to do with erosion. I also mentioned about climate change, how it affects also to the cultural heritage and buildings as well. Then economic sustainability, the tourism industry is working for the preservation of the site, and you can see it as an investment, it's not cost only. And this is the last part, the social sustainability. This is something that I cherish a lot because we need to find the balance between those different functions. It's tourism destination where people visit. It's also residential area where people live their everyday life, an area of employment. I, for example, go there 5 days a week and I'm walking around the fortress and how do I fit in the picture as well. And I think that there's a couple of minutes left before there's a good break for you before the next lectures. Would you have any questions, comments, or ideas? I hope that I think most of you had visited Suomalinna before as a visitors, and hopefully I could show you a different sort of angle of Suomalinna, what there is behind the scene and how it is to develop a destination or attraction with multiple stakeholders, which is a common thing in tourism business.
Will you go back to the focus areas?
Sorry?
Will you go back to the focus areas?
Yes, okay, yeah, of course. Yeah. Any other comments? I invite you all to come to Suomalinna during the next winter months before it's July again. And if there is no any questions, I thank you very much for your attention, and I think that there is a break for you.
Yeah, I want to ask, by the way, how many of you visited Kekri? I know some of you were there. Yeah.
else?
Did you like it? Yeah, it was quite crazy weather.
It was good feedback. My colleagues are actually doing a gathering of different kind of feedback today, so I can send them a message.